Oh, yes, Mzansi. Welcome back, your feel-good breakfast show. And let me tell you, this next gentleman is going to absolutely inspire. We're talking about Cobus Visser. He's a multi-hyphenated professional. Well, he's an author, a speaker, a trainer, a facilitator, a life coach, a firewalker, an instructor who is dedicated to helping individuals, business leaders, and people with disabilities. But perhaps the job he holds most dearly is being a father to two boys. Now, Cobus has had to face so many challenges in his life, including living with the painful condition of hemophilia. Now, this morning he's joining us to share his absolutely inspirational story of fatherhood and reaching the levels he has despite the adversities. My man, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good. Happy to be in Cape Town and excited to be on the show today.
Yeah, dude, I just believe that what you have done is absolutely incredible, but let's just take it straight back. You're diagnosed with hemophilia, right? When was this? A few years back, when you were a kid already, right?
Yes, when I was born. You know, we knew it was part of the family, and hemophilia is a bleeding disorder. So I live in pain 24/7. Because of all of the bleedings over the years, my joints basically have disintegrated. You know, you can see my elbows can't go straight anymore.
Wow.
Can't touch my shoulder. And
I'm noticing your elbow there, it's got a bit of inflammation. Is that obviously because of this, right?
yeah, you know, yesterday carrying all of the bags and driving, it sort of affects the joint. And it's the same with my ankles, same with my knees. You know, every joint is that. And I also bruise very easily.
Yeah. Now, I know people that are in this position, there's not a lot you can do because obviously, like you mentioned, you bruise easily. Internal bleeding is a real thing, and that can happen so easily amongst so many other things. However, you somehow managed to deal with this. Not only just deal, but in a weird way, in my opinion, you thrive beyond any other individual, so much so that you were able to embark on a crazy journey. You go and attempt Kilimanjaro, not Table Mountain, not Lion's Head. The man's like, okay, well, with this crazy thing that's going on with me, I'm going to go attempt a mountain like this. How did achieving that change your mindset? How did that change your journey and also your understanding of this? Is it even a disability? Do you see it as that anymore?
Kilimanjaro was important, and just to know, I climbed it with my crutches at that time, you know, because I couldn't walk. For a few years, I couldn't walk, and I set myself this big goal, you know, of climbing a mountain. I wasn't planning on climbing it, but I did it for my mindset, you know, for leaving a legacy. You know, my journey started with my son, you know, and just to share with you, my son, when the second son was on his way, didn't know it was a boy.
Yeah.
And so he drew two little babies, and he said, Dad, I don't want a little sister. And he had a crossover. And he said, Dad, I want a little brother that can play with me because you can't. He came to his mom, to me, and then to me, and I had a big crossover. And at that moment, he said, Dad, you are dead to me. And that's when my journey started, where I realized there must be something more to life. I need to impact my son. And I think that was part of Kilimanjaro, was to say, not over-conquering my mind, but teaching my boys, you know, no matter your challenges, if you focus your mind on achieving something, you can do anything.
Man, that is absolutely powerful stuff. Thank you for sharing that. I can't even imagine what it must feel like to be faced with something like that where your son just wants someone to play with him. You've gone above and beyond, though, and you've been able to do that and much more of late. What does that mean to you? Firstly, having the ability to share these moments with your children, and what does that sort of mean to you in terms of fatherhood as well?
I think it's empowering them. You know, my boys also have walked on fire and broken glass and
all
of that.
Serious? Okay.
You know, my little boy the other day was in a swing and he was swinging and he jumped off thinking he's Superman. And he broke his arm because he's walked on fire. He says, Dad, if I can walk on fire, I can do anything. And I said, but you hurt yourself. He says, Dad, it's okay. I'm building memories. And I think that is what it's about.
I love that.
And what I realized in my journey is, let's create memories. Let's be present in the moment. And, you know, part of Kilimanjaro taught me two things. One is whatever it takes. No matter you're living without excuses, without blaming or anything, is to say, I will do whatever it takes. Now, other part of the journey on Kilimanjaro, I almost died. And I actually went to die on the mountain. And in the end of the day, I did die. And I was sort of reborn, and I came back with a new zest of life. And I think that's where live without regret comes from. You know, we only have one life, and we have to make it count because it can be taken so much easier way. So let's live without regret.
I absolutely love that. And we're ripping it right now. I love this, whatever it takes. This is something absolutely special, man. On top of this, I want to talk about something that I think really relates to the show right now. And father figures, they have such an impact on us. And I think we can relate here in terms of our fathers being potentially a little bit more old school in terms of not necessarily always vocalizing the way they feel. And I think you mentioned just during the COVID period was one of the first times that he gave that affection and mentioned something in terms of the way he feels. How important is something like that for you? I mean, I know for me as a kid, it's something that you always want to do for your dad. You want to impress them. You want to make them proud. Was this something you had with you in this journey? I mean, facing adversity and then also wanting to get that affection from your father. Was that an important principle too?
Yeah, I think so. I tell people only the memory that I have is just in COVID, we spent so much time together every morning walking. And it felt like the first time he told me he loves me, and he cares for me. And I think that is so special. We all aim for that, to be loved by our fathers.
Yeah.
And so on this journey, I learned something that I teach my sons, where every time when they see me, they want to do it. It's called a hug. Sometimes we have to build that connection. And I want to teach South Africa, it's a 3-step process. One is you have to make eye contact, and we say, Sawubona.
Sawubona.
I see you. I see you, South Africa. The next step is heart to heart. We've been taught so much that men has to be strong. And so when we hug, we usually take our hand and we hug like that. But it's keeping our hearts far away because we want to protect ourselves and we don't want to be vulnerable. And part of this journey is to make ourselves vulnerable and give love. And so we hug heart to heart. That's the second step. The third step is to breathe in and breathe out in that moment. It's all that it takes is a moment. Sometimes we don't have to say words, but we just have to have that few seconds to connect. And like my sons, every time they see me, they say like, Dad, look here, I want my hug.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Cobus Visser, thank you so much for coming through this morning. It doesn't stop here. You've been an inspiration, someone that has dealt with pain in an absolutely phenomenal way and that has come above and beyond. And I can't wait to see what you do on the show. I believe you're going to be going through an actual experience walking on glass. This is insane. Mzansi, don't go anywhere. This man's going to continue to inspire in just a bit, and we'll see you for it. Nice stuff, man.